São Gonçalo does not have a football academy. It does not have scouts or training pitches or development programs. It has streets, and one boy who refused to let the streets be the end of his story. This is not a story about talent. Talent is everywhere, in places like São Gonçalo. This is a story about what happens when the world tries to silence someone, and they refuse. He was born in 2000, into a family with very little, into a neighborhood where very little was expected of anyone. His grandmother raised him, not with money, not with connections, with something harder to find than either of those things: belief. And on the streets of São Gonçalo, he learned something that no academy could teach. He learned to dance with the ball, not just dribbling, dancing, shoulders rolling, hips shifting, like the ball was music and his feet already knew every word. In São Gonçalo, dancing was not a celebration. It was a language. It was how you told the street, I am still here. I am still free. Nothing you throw at me has taken this from me. Then a scout came, not to São Gonçalo, to a small tournament where nobody important was supposed to be watching. But somebody was watching, and the boy did what the boy always did. He played like the streets had trained him to, like he had nothing to lose, because he didn't. Flamengo noticed, one of the biggest clubs in Brazil, one of the most passionate fan bases on the planet. They looked at this boy from São Gonçalo and saw something worth betting on. He left his grandmother's house. He left the streets he had memorized like a map of himself. He left São Gonçalo, and he took only two things with him: his ball and the dance. The academy was not São Gonçalo. Everything had rules here: times, schedules, expectations. Boys from better backgrounds competed for the same spots, and he was smaller than most of them and faster than all of them. By 16, the word was spreading, not from press releases, from coaches talking quietly to each other after training sessions. That boy from São Gonçalo, watch him. At 17, Real Madrid came, the club that had signed Ronaldo, the club that had signed Zidane, the club that did not take chances on boys who were not ready. They took a chance on him. But arriving at Real Madrid was not the end of the struggle. It was the beginning of a different one. The Spanish press was not gentle. Some called him clumsy. Some questioned his decisions. Some wrote that Real Madrid had wasted their money on a boy who was not ready. He was 18 years old, reading his own name in headlines that doubted him, standing alone at a window at night, looking out at a city that did not yet know what it was looking at. But here is the thing about a boy who grew up dancing on cracked concrete with nothing but an old ball and a grandmother's belief. Doubt was not a new feeling. He had been doubted since before he could read. He stayed, he trained, he got better, and then he started to celebrate, the same way he always had. When he scored, he danced. The same dance he had learned on the streets of São Gonçalo. The same movement that meant, I am still here, I am still free. And certain people decided that joy was a problem, that his joy specifically was too much. They said the dance was disrespectful. They said he was showing off. They said a player of his background should be grateful just to be on the pitch, not dancing on it. Then the abuse became something else entirely, something that had nothing to do with football. On the pitch, players said things to him that had no place on a football field. In the stands, chants directed at him, the kind of sounds that did not belong in 2023. On social media, thousands of messages sent to remind him that certain people had decided he did not belong in their world. And in the dressing room after matches, the silence, the kind that fills a room when a person is carrying something nobody in that room fully understands. Some people told him to ignore it, focus on football. He had heard that before, back when people told his grandmother her boy's dream was bigger than his reality. Then came Valencia, Mestalla Stadium, March 2023. From inside the ground, sounds that stopped the match, sounds that made players on both sides turn toward the stands, sounds that even the referee could not ignore. Racist chanting, loud enough to be heard across the pitch, loud enough for the cameras to pick up, loud enough for the entire world to hear. He pointed at the stand, not in anger, in clarity. The cameras are here. The world is watching. Look at what is happening. He had not looked down. He had pointed, and refused to let the world pretend it had not seen. After the match, the cameras found him, and for the first time, he let them see more than he usually showed. His voice was steady, but his eyes were not. He named it. He refused to soften it. He said, "This is racism, and I will not pretend otherwise." The football world reacted, some with support, some with silence, and some with the kind of response that told you exactly where the problem really lived. But this time, the world did not look away. Governments spoke. Players across football stood with him, and he stood at the center of it, not as a victim, as the person who had forced the conversation to happen. He went back to training, as he always did, because going back was the one answer nobody could argue with. Every chant became a reason to arrive earlier. Every racist message became a weight he lifted in the gym. Every headline that doubted him became fuel he burned on the pitch. They thought the noise would shrink him. Instead, it clarified him. He knew exactly who he was, exactly what he was playing for, and exactly who he was playing against. The 2022 Champions League final. Paris, Stade de France, Real Madrid versus Liverpool, the world watching. He was 21 years old, starting on the left wing for the biggest club in the history of football, from São Gonçalo. In the second half, the moment. Not rehearsed, not planned. Just a boy who had learned on cracked concrete, meeting a ball at exactly the right time. The ball hit the net, and somewhere in São Gonçalo, an older woman who had believed before anyone else had a reason to, pressed her hands over her mouth and wept. Champions League winner, goal scorer in the final, at 21 years old, from the streets with no academy, no scouts, no program, just streets, and a dance. But the abuse did not stop because he won a trophy. The world does not work that way. Season after season, he scored, he danced, he pointed when they crossed the line, he spoke when they expected silence, and then came 2024, the Ballon d'Or. Many believed he had earned it. According to reports at the time, his team was informed he had not won before the ceremony began. He did not attend. The world noticed the empty seat, and once again, a conversation about football became a conversation about something larger. Some wounds do not come from tackles. Some wounds do not show on the body. But he had learned long ago, wounds do not stop you. They inform you. They tell you exactly how much further you still need to go. He went back to training. Of course he did. Going back was the one answer nobody could argue with. The pitch could not be taken from him. Not by chance, not by awards rooms, not by anything. Because here is the thing about a boy who grew up with nothing and danced anyway. You cannot take the dance. You can fill the stadiums with noise. You can close the doors of the rooms where decisions are made, but you cannot reach inside a person and remove the thing that made them who they are. He still dances, every goal, every time, not despite what they did, because of it. Every time those arms go wide on a football pitch, it is not just a celebration. It is a sentence that started in São Gonçalo on a cracked concrete street, with no academy, no scout, no program, just a boy and a ball, and the refusal to become smaller than what he already was. São Gonçalo does not have a football academy, but it has something now that no academy can manufacture. Proof that one boy made it out, not by going quiet, not by becoming less, by becoming more of himself than the world was prepared for. The hate wanted to erase him. Instead, it built him, piece by piece, chant by chant, closed door by closed door. It built the most dangerous player on the planet, and he is not finished, not even close.